We are back for the 50th episode of Smack Talk. Incredibly exciting time. We're getting ready, finishing up, wrapping up Power Slap 11. We got a couple more fights that have dropped since last time we spoke. Radulave, Cole Young. We haven't broken that down. We have Zakir and we have Trolls Nielsen. We're going to break down both of those matches here tonight on Smack Talk. And we are going to talk about some of the new matches that have been released since last week. The co-main event between Robert Trujillo and Dakota McGregor, an incredibly exciting matchup that's going to put the 155 division title on the line, and we're going to be crowned the first ever champion. Is it going to come north of the border, or is it going to stay in the United States? Incredibly excited to see what is going to happen there. And earlier today, we dropped it on Slap News. We have Logan Greenhall making the move down to the light heavyweight division to compete at 205. Going to take on Road to the Title Season 3 competitor Cody Young. Pretty excited about both those matchups. And last but not least, we have Wesley Drain taking on Ke'ali'i Kanekoa, the Chief, who I know you're a big fan of, Brittany, at Power Slap 12. Going to start that night off, and we're pretty excited for that matchup overall. Brittany, how you been this last week?
I've been good, and we are 16 days out from Power Slap 12, and it's pretty cool that this is the 50th show. So yeah, everything's getting exciting, and I was really relieved. Like, I was starting to get worried. I'm like, when are they going to let the other announcements happen? So I was really glad to see we had a couple come in this week, because we were even talking about that last episode. It's like, where is everything? And so yeah, I'm glad the athletes have time. Some exciting news in the works, and yeah, I've been good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when it starts, it definitely pours. So we're expecting pretty well, I would say, every day, at least Monday to Friday, that we should be getting a match now kind of going forward here. We have a lot of strikers asking us when these matches are going to be released. Fairly safe to say 16 days out. We usually know the entire card, approximately a week out, so 7. So we've got 9 days left. So I would see safe to say we'll hear at least one every single day, and they'll do, they'll fuel the passion and the fire that we have overall. Let's bring Ding in. Ding, what's up, my man?
What's up, my brother? How are you? And Brittany?
Really good.
Good, thanks.
Absolutely. Lots in the works for sure. We're seeing a number of different fights added. As we spoke about, a couple fights dropped on YouTube. And here at Slap News, we finally have launched our broadcast channel. So if you're not doing so over on Instagram, make sure you tune into that broadcast channel. We will be bringing you guys, a bunch of different features. It's going to allow you, one, to get the first inside look into the news that we have in regards to Power Slap. It's also going to allow you to take part in the content that we create. We're going to have polls in there. It's going to be very interactive. We want to be able to allow you guys to feel like you're part of something special if you enjoy our content. And I'm sure if you made it this far in the video that you watch it quite religiously. And we'd appreciate it if you could join us in that channel. We want to keep it going and making sure you guys know everything about Power Slap as soon as we can bring it to you guys. Ding, I know you're much more up on the broadcast channels. What are you specifically going to be putting there, either on a daily or, bi-daily basis type thing?
Yeah, ultimately our goal is really to curate content to sort of fit the sort of lifestyle that you have as far as your consumption of social media. As you guys know, we've kind of built a reputation over the last few years of not reporting on speculation or rumors. In there, I don't want to say that we're relaxing that per se. We're still really relying on very, very credible sources, but we are giving you a little bit of a sneak peek into some things that maybe aren't publicly confirmed. Whereas traditionally, we kind of jump through a lot of hoops to make sure that when we bring you something, it's as official as you can expect it to be. It's almost as if it's coming from the promotion itself. Not that they've said that, but from our perspective, that's the reputation that we want to uphold. And so, there are going to be times where we'll say, this such and such is happening right now. It's not ironclad, but we feel like it's pretty close to being done. I'm not going to tell you what we talked about earlier in the broadcast group, but for those of you who are in there, we did talk about some things that are, quote unquote speculation, meaning they're not officially being published, and we're not publishing it to the public. So definitely you want to get in there, see what those things are. And then, of course, like Corey mentioned, sneak peeks, being able to see things before the general public, kind of getting, I mean, it's called Slap News Insider. We want you to feel like you are kind of on the back scene with us, some level of what we know. And again, finding that perfect balance between being able to report things that are very, very likely, and we have multiple sources confirming, but also not necessarily things that we're ready to go public with for whatever reason.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I know we have an interview with Dakota McGregor coming up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ding, but you're going to release it inside the insider group first to allow those people to have first viewing of it. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. First viewing will go to our insiders, of course, as an unlisted video. So, the general public won't be able to access it without the link. And again, that's just a perk of kind of your loyalty, you guys kind of tuning into us and supporting us in everything that we do.
Yeah. When can they expect that?
Dakota McGregor will go out tonight.
All right. So get a sneak peek. If you're not doing so, join that broadcast channel over on IG. But right now, we're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook. Let's talk about the biggest fight announcement so far since last time we spoke, the co-main event between Dakota McGregor and Robert Trujillo. We're finally going to get closure to this 155 tournament. Obviously, things have been a little bit, unorthodox in the way that it's taken place. We haven't seen a match since Road to the Title Season 3 has concluded in the 155 division. They tried to run it at 10. They tried to run it at 11. Things fell apart. But ultimately, we are going to get this matchup now, pending some crazy things happening, which very well could happen. I mean, earlier today, speaking to Dakota McGregor, it took him an additional 4 days to get back to Prince Edward Island, Canada from Las Vegas. So let's hope it doesn't take him 4 days to get to Vegas next time around. But with the weather that's been taking place, flight cancellations, and the things that are going on in the world, it's definitely crazy to see. And but otherwise, we are going to get an answer, or going to get crowned a victor. Is it in some ways Canada versus Russia? Are we going to get the Salt Lake City Olympics all over again? Dakota McGregor wearing that Canadian flag against Robert Trujillo?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're too close to neighbors to have that kind of rivalry per se, and I have no shortage of jokes for Canada, but I will say either way, North America wins in this one. I think you hit it right on the head. This is a long time coming, right? Dakota McGregor, Joshua Bovera, number 2 and number 3 was supposed to take place on October 24th at Power Slap 9 in Abu Dhabi. That falls apart. They try to run it back in a different way with Dakota McGregor, Anthony DeFrank in December 6th at Power Slap 10. And now, despite any rumors that we may have heard, other things that they were looking to go with, they land on Robert Trujillo, Dakota McGregor for what's to be the inaugural undisputed lightweight championship of the world. And I think that this is a storybook ending for McGregor. But I do believe no matter who the victor is here, the fan base is still going to have a question, and that question's name is Joshua Bovera.
Yeah, and I mean, for the foreseeable future, we don't know. I mean, in a lot of ways, we were speaking to him. We thought everything was going to be good to go online. I don't think it's the end of his career yet, but obviously things are still on hold for whatever is, holding him back from being able to get back up there at the table. I think we are expecting to see more matches in the 155 division, coming out here. Obviously, they want to try to flush that division out, be able to make rankings just like all the other divisions, and truly cement this. We see in the UFC, the 155 is a very popular and very highlight reel effective division. And so is that going to translate over to Power Slap? Do either of you have an opinion on that?
Brittany, go ahead.
I think it has to transfer over, because just having that experience is going to put you at an advantage from being in both the spotlight, the athletic pressure, the media, all of that. I don't see how it wouldn't be an advantage at all. So yeah, this is it's going to be a big one. I was glad that they finally announced it, and it seems to be a fan favorite too, judging by some of the comments on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. Dang, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think any weight class that there's the the potential for knockouts. Not necessarily in every match, but or those really really drag them kind of back and forth matches that you see on a rare occasion. I think any division that fits that criteria will have the opportunity to sort of rise to stardom. And kudos to the promotion. We've seen divisions kind of get turned around, right? We talked about middleweight in the past being sort of a dead horse, if you will, kind of very stagnant, very big gap between the top and the bottom. And now that division seems to be arguably one of the, if not the hottest division in the males category. So I think there's opportunity for everybody, irrespective of how much they weigh or how little they weigh.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing here, obviously, Robert Trujillo, road to the title season 1 veteran who we haven't seen now, in the upper part of a year. I keep talking about, often, the ring rust and how the rules seem to change and how quickly Power Slap is evolving. Obviously, we haven't seen Robert Trujillo in a little while. And then we've got Dakota McGregor, season 3. I guess you might as well call him winner now at this point, arguably winner of, the tournament that they put in place going in, kind of that young versus old mentor, obviously coach on this season, now going up against, the apprentice. And so a lot of that has changed. And, later on tonight, as we talked about with the interview with Dakota, you're going to see, he was able to identify the moment in his mind when he knew and he looked across the way up there at the Power Slap table that the opposing coach was Robert Trujillo and no longer was the athlete in front of him in his way, and that he was destined from Robert. And he's been thinking about that moment ever since. So it's been months now that Robert Trujillo has been on his mind, and we expect this match to be an absolute barn burner. I still remember the first time I ever seen a slap in person. It was Robert Trujillo on Jewel Scott, Power Slap #1, and hearing the intensity of that literally sounded like a gunshot going off, and seeing, Jewel Scott, hitting the mat in the way that he did. It was obviously still one of the most impressive knockouts that I've ever seen. And we know Power Slap definitely likes to set the tone with the first match that they put in play. And so now we are going to get a conclusion to the 155 category, and somebody will be crowned on March 7th. So incredibly exciting to see that. Otherwise, Ding, we're going to keep on rolling on. Let's go to one that we released on our channel the other day. So Wesley Drain versus Ke'ali'i Kanekoa. Where would you start with this match in diagnosing and breaking it down?
Well, I think this is absolutely, old versus new. Wesley Drain, season 1 veteran. The Chief came around early on the undercard. I think it was Power Slap 3. Unfortunately, gets a knockout, but is disqualified. We don't see him again until season 3 of Road to the Title. And he's kind of been on a upward trajectory ever since, minus one small hiccup. Obviously coming at the hands of Darren Godfrey. But he just had a great outing in the Power Slap 11 in Saudi Arabia. So I think, and we haven't seen Wesley Drain since he lost to Isaih Quinones back in Power Slap 7, I believe, April of last year. So coming up on a year here, we weren't really sure where Wesley was going to go. There were some rumblings. He was, going to go down to 170. I know he competed in MMA at 170. Was he going to continue to compete, right? Was MMA going to become his new love? He announces now he's returning, of course. The last time Wesley competed, for all intents and purposes, the world didn't really know who the Chief was. And so I think there's some concern from if you look at it from Wesley's perspective of the time off. On the flip side, from an experience perspective, Wesley's got the most matches in Power Slap at 10. And the Chief, although he's been active as of late since he returned, between the 2 matches he had on the show, Abu Dhabi and then Saudi Arabia, there's still a significant gap. I mean, Wesley's got over double the amount of experience, and he's obviously he fought 2 champions, one being the current champion, the other one being the former champion John Davis. He's got wins over Manny Muniz, the former welterweight champion. So I mean, this guy's been there, he's done that. So I think there's a lot of questions. I think this is extremely exciting to figure out whose moment is it going to be. Is the old guard going to kind of come up and show that there's levels to this, and that the OGs can evolve and they can adapt even with the time off? Or is the Chief going to prove that, he learned a ton from Power Slap 9, and he's going to just continue his rise to the top and join his fellow Polynesians, and the dominance that they have in the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. Brittany, I mean, we're in that era right now where we're seeing old versus new, veterans versus the newcomers. We're seeing guys that have been mentors and idols of a lot of these strikers now being, the competitor across the table from them. It's obviously something that comes with the evolution. We're 2 years into this sport now. When Power Slap first started the editions for this, 3 years ago, they did trial for March for Road to the Title season 3. They had guys from all walks of life come in, not necessarily, pure athletes per se, but now we are seeing guys like the Chief. We're seeing guys like Isaih Quinones. We're seeing guys like Branden Bordeaux who are taking this incredibly seriously. They're coming in with athletic backgrounds and are looking at it, as true professional athletes that are in the gym every day training incredibly hard. You know, kind of, you know, talk me through from a perspective of these new young hungry cats and that changing mentality. Do you see that as the way forward, or do you still see some guys of the likes of a Wesley Drain who have, a head that's as hard as nails, a work ethic like no other, going up there and still prevailing? Because we've seen experience versus athleticism before. Where do you feel like we are in that matrix from one side to the other?
Yeah, great question. And when I saw something I've been doing since I haven't been, you guys have seen every fight since the beginning. So what I like to do when I see that the fights are announced, I kind of do a little bit of social media stalking so I can pick up on their training, just see what their overall, kind of vibe is like if I haven't talked to them. And I do think, which shows the evolution, like you just said, Corey, that people are starting to take it more seriously. So the experience, having a hard chin, being able to take that like Wesley can, there is something to be said. I want to say, like, we talk about thick necks and being genetically gifted for their sport, but it's also, I don't, you can't just be lucky, in my opinion, so many times in the sport. You're going to
Mhm.
have to hone in on the training and really, really get dialed in. So, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We can.
Oh, it just went out. Okay. Yeah, it just went out for a sec. I think I would like to say that the people that are taking it more seriously, not just relying on experience,
Mhm.
I would like to see them pull out a victory because I
Mhm.
think that's only going to further help the sport. Because, like I said, when something is new, it's awesome that you can get up there and do it, have a hard head, take the slap. But I would like to see people taking their training more seriously and being able to watch their fight after and see where
Mhm.
they can improve.
For sure. And I mean, Wesley Drain in this match, I think is a hybrid of both, in a lot of ways. And even, I mean, the Chief is as well. Both these guys have an extensive MMA background. They've been able to, amass a number of professional fights, whether it be within Power Slap and or outside of Power Slap. And a guy like Wesley Drain is kind of following in that same footsteps as even like
Mhm.
Isaih Quinones as well. So adapting, changing, evolving, which I think every sport needs to be completely honest, because we are seeing, in a lot of ways, I feel like a month in Power Slap is equal to 4 months, for a regular job, with the speed of how fast things are evolving, changing rules, new competitors, like every event. It seems to be taking a monumental step forward. And I think even if you look at Saudi Arabia, on the onset, it didn't look like the most exciting card. But then when you seen the final product that actually took place, I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal to see the way that entire card of Powers Up 11 unfolded, and the level and caliper of athletes that showed up there, both on the winning and the losing side of it. I think definitely plays into the growth of what we see to come. Ding, breaking it down. I know we talked a little bit earlier. Logan Greenhall. Previously, we talked about kind of being one of those tweeners, competing around 235, 240 ish. We talked about a move to light heavyweight might do him good. And now officially, it is going to happen. It is going to take place that we are going to see Logan Greenhall versus Cody Young in that light heavyweight division. Overall, do you agree that this is the right move for him? And do you think he's going to be able to make it relatively easy or do you see this as one of those situations where he's going to have to cut weight right into the match?
You know what? I think this is the right move for him. I think he's a guy that kind of fits in that Delvin Hamlet category. Also, they're right there. These guys at heavyweight a lot of them are pushing the limit, especially the ones who are on the bigger side. Logan Greenhaw has a bit of an athletic background. He's young. I think if he does it properly, I don't think we'll have any issues in the weight department. Obviously, inactivity, he hasn't been around in a while. If I'm not mistaken, he and Cooper went at it at Power Slap 7 on the undercard. It could have been 8, but I'm pretty sure it was 7. So it's almost a year since we've seen Logan. I think that what he was 235, 30 pounds is easy for a guy like that to cut. So I don't think we see any problems on the scale. Interesting matchup. Logan's got quite a bit of experience since season 2. He's taken guys on from kind of varying levels of experience, and had sort of a plus or minus record, right? He wins one, then loses one, then wins one, then loses one. A lot of power, good chin. Cody Young, season 3 guy, didn't exactly go his way on the show. So I was interested to see that was the matchup they chose. And then again, putting him on the undercard once again, I think it shows kind of where they sort of rank him and stack him as far as his ability to execute within the rule set. Generally, I think that there's probably some concern for fouling and things like that, as it's been a problem in the past. So I think this is a shot, a new division. If he can maintain the power, I think he has some real bright future at 205. And that division, as we know, is kind of in disarray right now because we don't know what's going to happen in the future with the announcement of the retirement of Wolverine.
Yeah, I don't think you had Cody Young on your bingo board going into this one as somebody that was going to make it into the actual Power Slap 12 event. But however, a guy that we've seen, obviously Road to the Title, season 3, part of Team Turpin. And, watching back, which I did earlier today, seeing the work ethic that he had in the gym is actually quite, reminiscent of what, Austin Turpin has kind of been doing and how he's rallying his troops and that dog-like mentality. And a guy that I know has been putting in the work since he left the house. Round 1, as you said, didn't go his way. Still was victorious. I was unable to continue, on in the actual tournament itself. But seeing him back there, seeing him work. It's now, I guess, over 6 months, probably closer to 8 months since the filming of the actual show itself. And so kind of getting in there, training every day, refocusing, because not every day that these guys, especially guys that don't get out around 1 on the show, get a second opportunity. So I'm sure he's, hungry to get back in there, show what he's capable of doing and be able to continue on. So pretty excited to see this one. At this point, we believe it is going to be a taped match, so we may not see it right away. But the matches do get released up on Rumble and YouTube in the days to follow, just as the one we're going to go to right now. Cole Young and Rod Olave from Saudi Arabia, Power Slap number 11. Here we go, Ding. Let's start things off. Cole Young is going to strike first in this particular matchup. Going to the table versus Rod Olave. These guys have very much 2 different styles and techniques, the way they approach Power Slap. And we're going to see how this one unfolds and plays out here. Right off the bat, we're seeing that they're having some issues aligning Rod up. He looks very stiff, almost leaning on the podium with his feet back, very straight up and down. As he kind of gets ready. We've seen refs, some say that you have to place, your stomach on the table, and we see others that don't implement that. But we see Rod obviously very stiff as Cole goes right on 3 to start. Just cut out on that one. All right.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, absolutely.
I will say, man, Cole's wind up on that looked a little different, not crazy. But man, Cole is so powerful for a guy that doesn't look like there's a whole lot to him. There is a whole lot to him. He packs a ton of power. He's got an incredible chin. So, kudos to Rod for kind of getting in on that one. Hopefully we'll be able to see it here in a second. But ultimately, Cole's declared the victor. We made that public, as soon as it was available to us via Cole and the promotion's confirmation. But again, we talk about old guard, new guard, right? Cole Young's also a guy that's been around since almost the very beginning. Has dealt with a ton of hardship, personally, obviously with his son Cal, kind of battling this rare genetic disease. Him donating his liver, as I think any father would aspire to do, donate a portion of their liver to their child to keep them alive. Him and his family have been through so much. I remember it was, I believe, Power Slap 6. He gets the call on short notice, and says, I'm going to take this opportunity. It'll help me get a little bit of money together so that while I'm in the hospital with my son and my wife, I'll be able to essentially kind of take that time off from my day job. For those of you who don't know, he's a taxidermist. And so, he went in there with that kind of fire and that passion, and then gets the victory, takes his check, and does exactly what he said he was going to do. Goes to, he's from upstate New York. I think they went to Pennsylvania, if I remember correctly. It may have been even further than that, to be honest. I apologize if I'm misspeaking. But he goes to Pennsylvania, and he's in the hospital with his son for quite a long time. Obviously, again, it just like such a storybook kind of tale. So to see him get back up there after recovering from all that, obviously going through the stuff that they went through in the last few years, incredible. So anyway, Corey, please. Sorry about that.
There
Nice
we go.
strike. Rod looks like he took it pretty well. If I'm being honest, he almost looks like he rolled with it a little too much, and that's what caused like that turn. If you see, like he starts rolling. I don't know. I mean, in some worlds, some people might call that a flinch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely borderline for sure. This was something though that we seen very early on. I don't know if it reminisces of Slap Jesus back in the day. He used to roll out, and actually even Waylon Frost it was a mentality where you would, take that energy, transfer it, and even though, from a judge's perspective, you rolling out and staying on your feet, to them was much more effective than obviously taking the brunt of the blow. So maybe there's a little bit of that. It's very unorthodox here. You see him kind of shaking out. Like, do we think is that just him being a character, or do we think there's something else, either would be neurological or something, in his arm that he's not feeling?
I think that shot. Yeah, I think that shot hurt him more than he's leading on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was even thinking about when I see athletes do stuff like that, it's either like numbness of the hands, which can happen sometimes, and almost like being in shock. It's a reaction. You're not even thinking about it. So I definitely don't think that was him being a character.
Yeah,
he is a character though.
Yeah. I mean, great shot on this first one, but he ate it very, very well, nonetheless.
Yeah, that's vintage. That's vintage Cole Young. But good on Rod. Despite the inactivity, comes back, delivers a clean blow. Again, I think that first strike was a little iffy. I don't think anybody would have disagreed if they called the flinch there. But definitely, I think he did a good job keeping his composure. But that all those little weird jittery movements before that slap led me to believe that he was probably hurt more than he let on.
Here we go, round 2.
Yeah, round 2. He did a better job of not flinching.
Yeah, and I think he paid for it. I don't think this one gets out of this round, if I remember correctly.
Stumble.
That'll be the end of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I mean, doesn't look like it maybe, to the average person, but Cole Young's got quite the power on him.
Absolutely. And in a division that needs some blood at the top of it, I think it's kind of a great, get right match for Cole Young for sure.
Yeah, good to see Rod back up there though. It's not often that you get these standing wave offs where you're able to kind of end the match, walk off on your own will. Nobody's got to wake you up. I think that outside of a decision, if you're going to get a stoppage, the best way for that to take place for you is for you to be able to kind of have your own devices about you and get up, stand there for the referee's decision, for them to announce it and everything like that, versus being laid out. When he first dropped, he looked a little nerve-wracking, right? Because he's like on his side, and then he starts moving, gets up, stumbles around, So definitely, I think that the dude's got heart of a lion if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, Absolutely. What do we think about the vertical nature of, and the way that Rod was receiving those strikes? We've seen him use the podium. Like we said, we've seen some athletes utilize that. Usually the bigger guys, like your Danny Van Heerden, etc. They really lean up against it with their stomach. But it looked to me like Rod stood very straight up and down. In the way that his placement was. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, Brittany, but what do you think about that and the posture and how stiff and straight that he was?
I feel like when you're that stiff and that straight, it's gonna take away from the full amount of power that you're able to really, like, execute on it because, again, I don't know if it was I'm sure he practiced like that, but to me, it just looked like he wasn't even breathing. So, I
Mhm.
felt like, I don't know, it looks a little bit like he could fine tune that. But again, like you said, like, we see the bigger guys lean into it more. I'm always paying attention because it's fascinating to me to see how everyone sets up a little bit differently.
Mm.
And I also don't know what it's like to be that nervous, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that adds an element of difficulty.
Mhm. Anything else you like to add?
Yeah, on the reception side, I think when he's the receiver, we talked about this before, and I think it's probably something that people don't really consider because it's hard to put yourself there. But if you've got a game plan, you train and you're figuring out again, the average person who looks at this calls it an undefended strike to the face that you're about to absorb. But we know that there's methodology to sort of reduce that, and there's argument about what that is. But nonetheless, we can all agree that there is some form of defense in a very unorthodox way. If you have a plan, whether that's to tuck your chin, whether that's to stand close, to stand far, stagger your feet, whatever it is, and you go up there and they correct you in a way that you've not prepared for, you are totally off your game. Everything you're shivering in your because you don't know now what to do. You already were not super comfortable with getting slapped in the face, but now you're gonna get slapped in the face in a manner in which you're not prepared for. You didn't expect to have your chin up this high because last time I did it, I didn't have it up that high, or I didn't have my waist up against the podium. I was able to bend my knees a little bit, or whatever the case is, whatever the correction is. And I think in the
Mhm.
beginning when Rod was getting corrected, I think that, and I'd love to talk to one of these guys about who are in that situation about what they felt in that moment. But I would assume, it's almost like a fight or flight response. Like I've prepared so much for this moment, and you just took everything that I've done to prepare for this, and you just changed it, and
Mhm.
and there's nothing that I can do about it. I think that that's probably pretty nerve wracking, and I think that probably has something to do with the sort of, I'm going to call it the poor attempt to roll with it because he moved prematurely, and secondly, from an optic standpoint, I mean, you practically did a 360 while rolling with the strike. I don't think that exactly looks great to the judges.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I hear you. Let's keep on rolling on. There's one other match that was released this past week. We had Zakir and Trolls Nielsen in the super heavyweight division. Let's get into
heavyweight,
it right now. Oh, it's heavyweight?
it is. I know
Oh,
Zakir looks massive, but it is absolutely
it keeps
heavyweight.
messing with my head because Trolls, I'm sure, was there as an alternate for super, I thought, in Abu Dhabi. Maybe that's why I keep thinking about it. But
Yeah,
either way, if you want, you can talk through this one.
yeah. So I think I think more so I was interested in what, like, I mean, from what we know, Trolls has been prepared for this a little longer because, again, like you talked about Abu Dhabi, right? That's not necessarily something that everybody was aware of. Um, but I thought, Zakir's a guy that he did the lean, and Zakir just seemed to be. I don't know what that exactly all was, but to me, it seemed like he was trying to say, like, that there was nothing on that. I didn't feel it. Also, very interesting, like, his
The
inward
moment.
movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, his inward movement there. I mean, normally
I,
we see some. I mean, you don't
I
want
think
to
that was
lift your heel, of course. Go ahead.
I think it was a lack of rotation through the hips. The hips looked very straight or looked very stiff. And I don't think he was able, when he was coming around, he kind of came up and over instead of around.
Can you pause it?
Since
I think you're.
So
no, just pause it. I just don't want to. I don't want to. This strike's going to be good to talk about because it sets a new precedent. But what I want to say about that is, to your point, and that was kind of where I was headed. Normally, you see some level when that distribution away happens. It's almost impossible for you to control the entire thing. You'll see some sort of movement in the bottom half of their body. I didn't see any movement from him whatsoever, and I think that's why there was no power on it. Because as you mentioned, there was no torque. He didn't turn at all. I mean, and I think again that's an inexperienced thing. Kudos to him for a clean strike, but I think maybe he tried too hard to make it a clean strike and didn't put a ton on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where the having more experience comes in handy too, because it's like you don't know what it feels like until you're under that pressure, and you're going to forget something. Ideally, you want the same setup every time, the strike to look the same, but yeah, it's like I doubt he practiced like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming from Denmark too, though. I mean, I'm not sure who he's practicing with either. Obviously, there's not a lot of guys there. I don't think it's that easy to kind of prepare as well. So, but if you're good to go, Ding, keep on rolling.
Yeah. Sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt. This is a really good, important moment.
Absolutely.
So Zakir, obviously, social media sensation, does all kinds of freakish stuff online. I think most people touted from the polls we did that he would be the clear victor here. Nothing against trolls. I think it was just all about Zakir. Honestly, I mean the freakish nature of what he does on social is just something that to really behold.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting. I don't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was like very obviously like I don't even know. That was like a slap uppercut. Like I mean that was pretty. I mean I don't want to shit on the guy, but like that was a palm strike. Let's just call that what it was. It was very obvious he led with his palm. They call it a club, which is interesting. I mean, it is against the rule set to lead with your palm, but I mean, it doesn't really say what kind of offense it would be if you lead with your palm. But you see referee Chris Tione, expertly explaining through the translator that he did palm strike. I personally, and please, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, I've personally never seen that be said before by an official that somebody had a palm strike. Obviously, the peanut gallery, the commentary, in some occasions, the fans have said things about people's strikes, but I've never seen a referee acknowledge like you led with your palm in the strike, and I completely agree. I think he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely, looked very awkward from the onset, and but you have to give it to trolls for actually taking it, because in a lot of ways, one of those strikes that could have ended it, and guy showed a lot of heart to be able to get back up in relatively quick succession. I mean, he popped back up there very fast, and even if it wasn't called a strike, I think he would have made that 10 count. So,
I mean, then the question becomes, the damage. Is the damage from that illegal strike too much? Yeah. I mean, he got hit with some serious power. You want to talk about pushing through?
Yeah, almost more reminiscent of a shot put in a lot of ways, like actually throwing the shot put. Was it not?
I thought it was a slap uppercut, but yeah, shot put works.
Yeah. So we see Trolls here. Obviously, he gets 2 minutes to be able to recoup himself. Taking that time.
Good on Chris Tione, man. Honestly, that was great. That's great refereeing. And again, I think is a new precedent set.
Could we almost bring it up like something like this, almost be like an immediate disqualification?
Like, I you know what? The truth is, I thought that it might be. I thought that the rule set, because it doesn't classify it, just other than that, it's not considered a foul. It's just not allowed. I figured it would be a disqualification.
Yeah, I mean, fighter safety. I mean, you're not expecting, a strike to come at that angle in the way that you do. Obviously, it's a clear, foul, but one that puts you at an extreme deficit going into the next round. Like, if there was something that, qualify for like, an immediate disqualification, like this is the type of thing that I think could.
He did it again. Yeah, no rotation.
Yeah, all upper body.
So if I'm Zakir, if I'm Zakir, I go into my next match believing I've never taken a strike because I mean, he seemed like he had a little bit of rotation there, but still,
Yeah,
I mean, it feels like equally not as much power.
yeah, but I mean, low, right under the chin, the power swooped underneath. Didn't connect fully for sure.
And he can't be feeling good in this moment, right? I mean, he's just giving this guy what he's got. You can see him. He's like, shit, I got to take another shot here. First shot he hit me with was something crazy. What's he gonna do now? And I'll wait till it shows, and then I'll sort of give you my judgment.
Yeah. But I mean,
but again,
Brady,
freakish athlete.
Look at the body composition of Zakir. How thick his upper body is in comparison to his lower body. I mean, we don't see, humans built like that too often.
No, he's a brick house, literally. Like he's a train. I feel like if we just went up to him and like gave him just like a pat on the chest, like we would bounce off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe a little improvement, but I mean, maybe it's the position in which he's coming in. I don't think it was as egregious, but I still think he led with his ball. I'll just say that. And again, I mean, if you want to push through, that's the best way to do it. Is if you're leading with your palm, it's the most comfortable way. It's not legal, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, I went back too far on this one, unfortunately.
That's right. Yeah, and I think anybody who's looking at his match or talking about his prospects in the future is gonna say like, that's gonna be the reputation he has up until this point is that he palm strikes. I don't think he cares for multiple reasons, but I'll just say that I think probably doesn't get a ton of praise for this performance.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this would ever be allowed, but the coach in me can't help but think this. How would you guys feel about if an athlete, because when you're practicing, you have a setup that you want to execute. Maybe if they were allowed to put like a piece of chalk or just something to almost like mark their footing when they're up there to make sure it's consistent. Because think about it too, like as you continue going on, if you get rocked a little bit, it's going to become almost harder and harder to simple setup cues. Do you guys think that would be allowed, or is that idea just crazy? Am I being a little bit too type A?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't.
Go ahead, Ding.
I don't think it would be like a big deal per se. The problem is that box is so restrictive as it is, and your feet have to be both inside. There's not a ton of opportunity, I guess, maybe for the smaller athletes, and some of the ladies who have smaller feet. It might, but I also think it matters, right? If your torso is longer, like what position, where do you want to be positioned? If you're a referee that's going to enforce the hips on the table type of thing, which some people do it, like Corey said, some people do, some people don't. I don't really know why that's inconsistent, but I think I don't know that foot placement would matter because of the different body compositions that there are.
Okay. No, I was just curious because I was trying to think about like how I would want to set up, or if I was coaching someone, for them just to, because as I start watching more and more matches, I sometimes see that they change their setup a little bit. And that could just be because of the feedback they got from the first round or whatnot. But I just noticed it hasn't been like 100% consistent.
Yeah. I hear you, but I stopped it on this frame for a reason. I mean, look at the chalk and look at the hand imprint on Troll's face.
That's a mark.
I was going to say, we'd love to see how he looked the next day. I mean, obviously we see the redding, we see the chalk around the eye, in all the lines. I mean, in a lot of ways, it looks like, even the chalk behind his ear. So I'm sure Zakir's got big hands, but I mean, he definitely did a number. And you can see a lot of chalk, outside of what would be the typical allow zone for, a legal strike. But you're not there, but just thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit to kind of go along with.
What about, isn't there Sean Kilmartin, Tyler Gross? We never broke that down. I know it's been out for probably over a week, and it's only one strike, but we did not break that down.
All right, yeah. Let me look into that. I still think Zakir has an opportunity to be a superstar in this sport. I mean, very young, as you kind of alluded to, in this sport, the personality, the body makeup, the composition, I still think he's got a lot to go and to work on. And I mean, some of the videos, as crazy as they are, definitely the training style doesn't automatically equate over to power slap by any stretch of the imagination. But I do feel like there's enough there that shows that this guy could potentially, be a force to reckon with, and somebody that maybe one of these days could, push Damien DeBell at the top of the division. So I think be interesting to see if they can get him into a match relatively quick. See if it's someone that they're able to get into, America and on this side to kind of see him, progress. Cause I'd love to definitely see him back up there real soon.
Yeah, Kazakhstan representative for sure. It's not too many athletes come from there, and we know he's proud.
Can you get to America from Kazakhstan right now, like legally?
Yeah, Shavkat was supposed to fight in December. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, he did fight in December. I lied.
Did he? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he fought in.
All right, here's the match that you were alluding to. I know both Tyler Gross and Sean Kilmartin have been in the comments here, this particular chat. Not sure if they're still there or not. So dang, tread lightly, my man. You asked for it, dude.
I did ask for it. I didn't know that they were here, but again, I won't say anything that I wouldn't say to any gentleman. My goal is not to, of course, be critical. It's just to be,
We see Tyler's beard tied up in this one, The first time we're really seeing that kind of be implemented.
This lean, man. This lean. There's something to it.
Little Pono-esque.
Good shot. I thought it looked like Sean tried to like roll a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong on that. I don't know if they'll show like a slow-mo version of it, but it looked like Sean tried to catch it at its moment. And you have to wonder if that is the case, did that have something to do with it? Here we go. Let's see. Watch Sean Kilmartin here. Yep. It was minor. It was a little smaller than I thought, but he definitely started moving to the right before the strike landed.
Mm-hmm.
Placement wise,
notice the right foot doesn't. It's interesting placement. It's almost like he had all of his weight on that right foot, because you notice when he got hit that foot didn't move at all.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's still out of it. We see Tyler obviously incredibly animated and excited. I mean, you fly halfway around the world, you definitely want to show up and make sure that you can take care of business, and he did in great fashion there for sure.
I mean, listen, both guys in their first matches in Power Slap, Sean on season 2, Tyler on season 3, were on the wrong side of a shot just like that. And so I think, unfortunately in this sport, in any sport, you need to here's a good sport about it. You need to in this, you need to weed out kind of how to move people along. Do they go up in rank, down in ranks, and et cetera? Who moves on, if you will? So somebody had to lose, and unfortunately that night it was Sean Kilmartin.
Yeah, I hear you. Dan, you want to touch this comment?
What does it say?
They announced the Terp match yet?
Unfortunately, there is no Terp match, my man.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that.
Doesn't seem to be anything in the works as of this moment. Obviously, a lot of excitement in that light heavyweight division, however, so I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. We see Wolverine retiring, vacating the belt. We got Vern Cathy, we got Russell Vera, we got Austin Turpin, as a couple of the guys that are, sitting there at the top of the division and, looking like are going to be battling it out. Obviously, we don't know at this particular moment. Also, Luke Simons, are we going to see a mini kind of tournament style come here in the near future, or are we just going to go straight into a championship belt? And then in a lot of ways, is it going to be an interim belt, or is it going to be the official belt, being unraveled? I don't know. I think a lot of ways, we talked obviously before too about guys, and I guess we're really going to see, if Ron steps away, how that feels to watch cards and events pass by. Guys go on top and often come back because they realize that bug isn't fully out of them. Is there a situation like that could unfold, or do we truly believe that Ron Beta is gone for good and we won't see him back up there in Power Slap?
What I'll say is that I think in UFC, when people retire, generally Tuesdays is when the rankings get updated. That athlete, if they're a champion, they'll be off of the championship spot come Tuesday on the rankings. With Wolverine, that didn't happen, and I'm curious as to why. Because it does happen on the UFC side. So I don't know if they know something. I don't know if they don't believe him, or if maybe we're misreading what was said, because I know there's been some of that online where people are like, well, he didn't actually say. I heard him loud and clear that he's done. He wants to, be with his family and watch new people rise, but he's still the champion after the rankings were updated after his announcement. So somebody knows something. I don't know if I'm reading into that and it's just a coincidence. Maybe it was a miss, or maybe Power Slap knows something we don't.
Yeah, I hear you. On that one. Definitely going to be interesting. Just said anything about Road to the Title. We have not. It's been very, very quiet on that front. I know we've heard that Dana did talk about the potential of it taking place over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, potentially. However, there's been no additional words, spoken of that. I would think that they are looking into reaching out to guys, I would assume, relatively quickly here. We see that they're able to produce this show relatively quickly. What do we got? Actually, Rod apparently has some inside info for us. But it's just that there will be a season 4. I think that's fairly safe to say, Rod. But yeah. I think relatively quickly here, they're going to get casting, I think, pretty well. May, April, wouldn't be surprised if they do it. They've been running the show in 3 weeks, being able to get it done, 2 rounds of fights. And so I think we'll kind of lead into that summertime, like we've been getting, that kind of July, August, when we actually see it hit the airways, whether it be Rumble or not, which is something that we also haven't heard too much about. In regards to that, is Rumble going to be their partner long-term, Ding, or are we going to see this go in a different direction?
Nah, I don't think so, man. I think they've outgrown Rumble. I think the concept is proofed. I think Rumble was a good partner for the first 2 years, but I just don't think that platform has the support it needs to be able to take this thing to the next level. And again, UFC's deal is coming up. WWE just did a deal not too long ago. Obviously, signing on with Netflix for their Monday Night series. I mean, the guys are all under the same umbrella. They're all having the same conversations with the same people. I don't think I'll just use Netflix as an example. If UFC goes to Netflix, I don't think Netflix is going to say, we'll take UFC, but we won't take UFC if Power Slap's a part of it. I would anticipate that they'd say, yeah, give me the whole damn thing, whatever.
And the numbers speak for themselves too, when you were saying about Rumble. So we could see how many people, when we were doing the live, we could see how many people were on. And I've been on Rumble before for different events, and that was definitely the highest number I saw. So
yeah, I mean, we've seen they've had issues too with buffering and different things, and not being able to, take on the entire load as it relates to the number of streams. And I mean, I don't know, seemingly, I mean, Netflix is definitely a behemoth, and the amount of homes that Netflix is in, not only in America, but worldwide, I think is something to behold. And we'll kind of see that evolution. But I was able to get the rooster out of his nest to come and join us instead of us knuckleheads, kind of talking about the defensive side of things. Mr. Rod Olave, how you doing?
There we go.
What's up, everybody?
Now that's good journalism right there.
We're doing good, man. Good, man. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but we broke down your fight.
I did not see it.
Yeah.
No, you look
so
like you just woke up.
Yeah, I literally just woke up right now. I'm in Korea. So
Appreciate
in Korea.
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's in South Korea.
Oh, crazy. What
Global
brought you
traveler.
there?
I'm just visiting. My friend teaches English out here, so yeah, I just had the opportunity to come out here, and I took it.
Oh, okay, awesome, man. I thought you were gonna say the women or something like that. That seems to
No,
fit your
no, no.
personality.
I hate women.
But we played your fight, man, and kind of wanted to. I'll bring it back up actually, if you don't mind. Hopefully, we're not opening up old wounds for you. But wanted to kind of talk about just some of the placement and alignment and things that took place, because I mean we've seen the referee adjust your chin as you were lining up, and as Ding, alluded to. How much did that throw you off your game for something that you prepare mentally to go in for? And then all of a sudden, at the last moment, have the ref readjust you in a way that you haven't been preparing?
It's funny you say that because they told us that day, they were like, we're changing the rules. You can no longer tuck your chin, which I thought was fair, like, because a lot of these guys, they go down, right? But I'm standing solid like this, and he's like lifting it even higher. So I was like, okay. And you're on stage and he's adjusting you again. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna stop the fight. Yeah, okay, like I'll put it as high as you want, bro. Just hit me, So it did throw me off a little bit, but my defense is it really doesn't matter if my chin is in the air or it's in the ground. It's all about my timing and reaction time to the strike. So I wasn't really thrown off by it, I should say.
Gotcha. Talk to me about the hips on the table, because we've seen some referees, make it that it's mandatory. We've seen some referees that don't. Was that by your choice, your placement, and the way that you have your hips on the table, and how vertically straight you are in the defensive side?
Man, I still don't know on that end what is better, because I see Cole, he kind of leans back a little bit. I go to the complete opposite. I go forward, because I want to feel the strike as quick as possible and turn, without flinching. Obviously, trying to not flinch. I think in this match, I did flinch a little bit, but like in the one against Vince, I think I timed it perfectly. It's really just a timing thing, and it's really like a different style. I feel like maybe overall, if you're not doing that, it's better to kind of be like how Cole does it and lean back a little bit. But yeah, it's just different styles for how you take it.
How do you determine, like, do you practice it different, leaning back and leaning forward? I mean, how did you determine like which ones to do? Especially because they changed like how you were kind of set up that day.
No, I like to do everything with style. So I think the hardest way to have defense is the 10 milliseconds of reaction time where you turn, like if you see right here, like I have like 10 milliseconds to turn my entire body as soon as I get hit. I think it's a way harder way to do it. But if you do it right, you're not even gonna get hurt. I did a little early here, but it's a game of milliseconds. I try to do things like with high style and high reward, high risk, high reward. That's my lifestyle.
What was happening here? We see you like shaking out. You start. What happened?
Yeah, so yeah, they were saying I was shaking off the hit. No, bro, I'm loosening my tendons, I'm loosening my ligaments, I'm loosening my muscles to strike. So I'm getting as loose as possible. If you can see, like my hand is a full whip. It's just a whip, right?
So why is he stopping you there? Why did he grab your arm before you were able to strike? Do you even know?
No. At that point, I'm already concussed. He cracked the shit out of me. So,
okay.
Well, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was like a neurological, response. Like, so I'm glad to see that it was done on purpose.
No, yeah. I mean, I cracked him so well with force. I missed though. I was a millimeter too shallow. So he told me that was the hardest he's ever been hit, and he's been hit by Blackburn, by Boonies, by Jewel, and I missed. So like, there's something good with how I'm striking, right? Like if I got him a millimeter deeper, it would have been a wrap. I felt it immediately. I ran up to Bizding while he was counting. He was like, "That was a good hit." I was like, "Nah, bro, I missed."
How you feeling at this point?
I feel great. You know, I'm in Korea. I'm about to go to Thailand in 2 weeks. You know.
Oh, sorry. I meant on this round. Going into round 2.
Oh.
Like, do you remember any of this?
No. Okay, so this is my first and only time being dropped, let alone being knocked out, right? All I remember is him winding up and hitting me going to do my defense, and next thing I know, I'm standing there like it's over. And I was like, what do you mean? I ate that shit. And they're like, no, bro, you got knocked out. I was like, what do you mean? I'm standing right here. They're like, no. I was like, okay. So then Butcher's telling me you got KO'd. I was like, oh, something's happening that I don't know is happening, you know? But I felt fine. Like after it, like I was running around, like it was just like my brain turned off for like 5 seconds. So it's cool.
It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a bad knockout. It wasn't like I was like
no. Yeah, we said that. I was like, you know, it's good to see a guy get back up on his feet because that first initial drop where you kind of laid on your side, that doesn't look good. But then you get up and you're stumbling a little bit, but you're up, and I was like, all right, we're better off. Was Cole stronger than you thought he would be?
Oh, way stronger, bro. I thought he wasn't a dangerous fight. I thought he was just gonna be hard to put down. But he changed his game like way wetter than I thought he would be. And and that's the thing about the sport, bro. If you're not in here for an hour, if you're not in here for a year, you have a lot of time to train because it's so new. You know, it's so new. So you could come here at one level, and his striking game was like 3 times what I thought it would be. When I ate it, I was like, that's why I went up to him. I was like, dang, bro, I did not expect that. Good for you. He was a lot better than I thought he would be on the offensive side.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Are you going to look for any Yu-Gi-Oh cards over there in Korea?
Am I going to look for what? Sorry, you cut out.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It was Yu-Gi-Oh, right? That you're into?
Oh, bro. Dude, so I have this as my credit card, right? I'm trying not to flip this around right now. Dude, I've met like 30 friends because I pay with this. They're like, oh my God, powerful. Dude, this is my credit card, bro.
That's
they
amazing.
love it out here, dude.
How do you get a Yu-Gi-Oh credit card?
Dude, I can't give out the secrets right now. The story is to be sold, not told.
Yeah, that's some real hobbyist shit, man. That's deep. That's some real hobbyist shit.
Amazing, man. Appreciate you joining me, dude. Much love, man.
Thank
Travel safe. Enjoy the culture.
Fun. Korea,
Well, dude, thank you guys.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Take care, dude. There we go. Rod Olave, character, great guy. We're glad we were able to get him on. But
is it weird to say I missed that guy, dude? That dude is funny.
Yeah. Did you meet him in Vegas at Power Slap 10? Was he there?
Was he there? I don't even know. I don't remember if I did, but I know, you know, we talked to him a lot during the show, and his personality is just above and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting character for sure. All right, we're going over the hour mark now. Let's wrap it up. Appreciate everybody who joined in the 50th episode of Smack Talk. Much love, much respect. If you're not doing so, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We appreciate everybody, whether you're watching this live or watching it on playback. Connect with us on social, as we talked about earlier on the show. If you're not as part of the Slap News Insider Group, the broadcast channel on IG, head over there and do it for a ton of breaking news. And as Ding alluded to, we are going to be dropping a Dakota McGregor pre-fight interview for his title match against Robert Trujillo to the insiders tonight first, and probably the rest of the world tomorrow morning. Take care. Both of you have a great week. We'll be in touch, and let's keep on rolling. Power Slap 12 is coming even closer every single day.